Welcome to Medicine Lodge, Kansas, home of the Medicine Lodge Indian Peace Treaty pageant and celebration. Established in 1927, the pageant commemorates the last official peace treaty between the United States government and the Kiowa, Cheyenne, Arapaho, Comanche, and Apache tribes, which was signed at Medicine Lodge, Kansas in 1867. This treaty at Medicine Lodge represents a milestone in our nation's history, being the largest council ever held and the final official attempt at peaceful coexistence between an expanding United States government and the many indigenous peoples who had claimed that land for countless generations. Today, the people of Medicine Lodge come together every 3 years to recreate this historic event. The festivities, which involve upwards of 3,000 local volunteers, feature daily Indian dances, parades, street dances, the Kansas Championship Ranch Rodeo, and cowboy trappings and trade show, among the many activities for the whole family. In addition, Native American descendants and living historians set up an Indian village and a mountain man camp. Here, visitors may chat with participants, do a little swapping and buying of trade goods, or simply stroll through these pages of living history to experience the life our forefathers knew. But the keystone event of the 3-day celebration is the pageant itself. Given once daily, the 2-hour presentation takes place in an almost 200-acre natural amphitheater, not far from the actual site of the treaty signing. With up to 2,000 actors, 150 horses, mules, and cattle, numerous wagons, carts, and buggies, and elaborate period costuming, this is one of the largest ongoing outdoor pageants in the world. For the convenience of the thousands of daily spectators, stadium seating has been constructed which guarantees an unobstructed view of the pageant activities. Those who prefer a more natural outdoor environment in which to witness this dramatic performance may bring folding chairs or blankets and set up picnic style on the hills and meadows alongside the pageant arena. From here you can feel the pounding of horses' hooves and hear the gentle lowing of cattle, as well as the chilling war cries of battle, as Kansas history unfolds before you. Here now is a brief sampling of this magnificent presentation.
The spirit of the prairie, the indomitable life force, makes her entrance. She is as free as the unsullied earth beneath her feet. The unbroken expanse of God's virgin prairies before her eyes, untamed, unmastered, the spirit fills the vastness with energy and life. The dormant life force is represented by little prairie flowers coming to life. The spirit touches each blossom with her life-giving magic, and they, each in turn, join the spirit's exalted dance to the joy of living.
For 1,000 years and more, the first inhabitants had the prairie to themselves. They hunted the abundant game, turkey, antelope, bear, elk, and bison, and lived as one with the earth, neither despoiling nor depleting her life-giving forces. And here, where two streams come together, the medicine men conducted sacred rites, and the braves drank the healing water, for here were sacred waters. Here was the great lodge called Medicine, and here the descendants dance in honor of their ancestors. And so, life moves on until the Spaniard, adorned by the church, comes in from the south. a humble band of Franciscan monks, led by the Indian missionary Father Marcos, has been sent by Viceroy Mendoza of New Spain to convert the heathen to Christendom, and, more importantly, to investigate the stories of the 7 golden cities of Cibola. Viceroy Mendoza, an ambitious man, has already established a glittering colonial kingdom and has amassed great personal wealth and power. But he wants more. Believing the fable of the golden riches of Cibola confirmed by the monks, he mounts an expedition of conquistadors in 1540, led by Don Francisco Vasquez de Coronado. They are seeking converts and gold. As Coronado implants the Spanish flag in Kansas soil, he proclaims,
"All the land as far as the eyes can see, and to the seas beyond, I declare to belong to Imperial Spain. In the name of His Majesty, Emperor Charles V of Spain."
Although the golden streets of Cibola were never discovered, Coronado's claim of ownership was only the first in a succession of European flags to fly over the Kansas prairie. These daring riders represent the changing of those flags of Spain, France, and England. But it would not be the likes of cavalier and nobleman to ultimately tame this great frontier. This would require a different breed of men. The year is now 1804, and Thomas Jefferson is president of the fledgling United States of America. It is his dream to explore the great Northwest. He declares,
On April 30th of last year, our government signed a treaty with France, allowing our country to purchase the territory known as Louisiana. Since that time, my personal secretary, Meriwether Lewis, and Captain William Clark have been training a party of men specifically for the purpose of exploring the great wilderness. Good luck, gentlemen.
Lewis and Clark were successful in finding a route to the Pacific. They were given invaluable assistance by a beautiful Indian maiden known as Sacagawea. It was Sacagawea who found uncharted passes through the Rocky Mountains and put Lewis and Clark on the right course toward the Pacific. With the success of this exploration, a vast new land, a prairie world, is now available for settlement. Zebulon Pike, who would soon discover the mountain to be named after him, leads an expedition to survey routes and show a military presence in the southwestern wilderness. His mission is to take down every Spanish flag he sees and replace it with yet another. This time, it is the Stars and Stripes of the United States of America, Old Glory which will fly over the land. The white men that first came to the prairie were not interested in settlement. They were frontiersmen, trappers and hunters mostly, who spent much of their time alone. But once a year, at most, they came together for what is known as the rendezvous. This provided the opportunity to trade their furs for next year's provisions, play games, visit with friends not seen for many months, and catch up on the news of their still young nation. Kit Carson, Jim Bridger, and the Bent brothers were a few of the notables who participated in these prairie socials, along with the other trappers, hunters, and traders who would ride in from all parts of the plains and mountains to attend this event. Even small bands of Indians who felt a certain kinship with these unusual men brought goods to barter and joined in the festivities. The stagecoach played a major role in developing the West, bringing in many of the settlers looking to start a new life. The arrival of the stagecoach was a source of great excitement on the prairie, for just as the Pony Express before it, the stage brought communications from the east, mail, newspapers, and magazines. It brought new neighbors and, occasionally, young brides-to-be. But the stage also brought danger in the form of outlaws who saw it as their own ticket to riches. Holding up stages ain't much of a life, these highwaymen mused, but it sure beats farming. Unfortunately, many Western travelers discovered this peril by losing their possessions and sometimes their lives to these frontier vultures. In spite of the many hardships and privations, man had come to stay on the windswept prairie. He would build his home, till the earth, and build his cities. But the first to come were the cattlemen. Over the years, millions of cattle were driven across the open range, making great profits for the investors, and leaving in its wake the maverick, the homeless, the young and wild, the cowboy.
Yep, most folks have a picture of the cowboy as a wild, uncontrolled maverick. It's only natural, I guess, folks should feel that way, 'cause the only time most folks ever saw a cowboy was at the end of a long trail drive, after escorting up to 5,000 cantankerous critters to Dodge or Abilene. Why, it's no wonder he had let off steam and most folks never got the true picture. It was pretty hard to get the true feelings of a cowboy's lonely life. You know, he was really a cow psychologist, a professional, and even a poet and musician of sorts.
Gallop along the medicine lodge. Gallop along the medicine lodge.
But the cowboy also had to be a gunslinger to defend his herd against all predators, including cattle rustlers. The cowboy's life, as the many other aspects of the developing frontier, was not as simple as it appeared. As the lengthening horse-drawn trains of prairie schooners rumble over the plains, bringing stout-hearted pioneers to a new life in the West, the Indian watches. Will these intruders be friend or foe? Should they be welcomed or killed? He makes a vow. If these pale-faced strangers continue to come, then they must be stopped. But the white man continues to come. The wagon trains are made up of farmers from the upper Ohio Valley and new immigrants eager to reach the lush land of the Northwest. They are a sturdy stock, fully aware of the dangers of the journey, and yet looking forward to starting their new lives out west. At sunset, the wagon circle is formed to protect the women, children, and livestock. These wagons are the only home these brave souls will know on the trail. After a day of hard travel through the blazing sun and choking dust, there are still many chores to complete before they can relax. They have only covered about 10 miles today, less when the train is rugged, but they all know that tonight they are 10 miles closer to their dreams. And when the chores are finished, the meal over, there will be time for a modest social life with their fellow travelers, time to visit with old friends and new, and to think of loved ones left behind. Will they ever see them again? But they have come too many and too far, these early pioneers, and are in danger of reprisal by Indians defending their homeland, particularly roving bands of Comanches led by Chief Kawana Parker. The United States military presence is necessary on the new frontier to protect the settlers. But it also led to additional confrontation, with much blood being shed on both sides. And so, After years of Indian wars and previously failed peace treaties, Senator Henderson of Missouri introduces legislation to set up a peace council with the 5 tribes of the Great Plains, the Kiowa, Comanche, Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Apache. The site, after much deliberation, is finally selected. It will be the ancient and revered Medicine Lodge of the Kiowa tribe. This will be the most spectacular meeting ever between the Indian and the white man. The year is 1867. According to some estimates, there are between 15 and 20,000 Indians camped at the site. Representatives from Washington are accompanied by the legendary 7th Cavalry Regiment, which 9 years later will be immortalized at the Battle of the Little Bighorn under the command of Colonel George Armstrong Custer. Also in attendance is a young reporter for the Missouri Democrat, Henry Stanley, who will go on to win international fame by finding the missionary Livingston in darkest Africa. Today, however, he is here to cover a story of unprecedented dimension in the history of the Plains Indian. After much oratory and discussion as to the terms of the peace treaty, and after being assured in private by trusted men such as Kit Carson, John Fremont, Jess Chisholm, and William Bent that the white man will keep his word, the chiefs agree to sign the treaty. Since they are unable to write the white man's language, they symbolically touch the feather. And so, it is done. An ancient way of life is ended, and a new one begun. While neither side will keep the provisions of the treaty completely, it is of singular importance in being the largest council ever held and in symbolizing the end of the Plains Indians' way of life and the opening up of this part of the country to white settlement. Yet today, across these many years, the words of Comanche Chief Tin Bears, as delivered by his interpreter, Mrs. Adams, the woman in red, still ring in our ears and in our hearts.
My people have never first drawn arrow or fired a gun against the whites. It was you who sent the first soldier, and we who sent the second. I was born upon the prairie. Why do you ask us to leave the rivers and the sun and the wind and live in houses? The white man has the country which we loved, and we only wish to wander on the prairie until we die. I want no blood upon my land to stain the grass. I want it all clear and pure, and I wish it so that all who go through among my people may find peace when they come in and leave it when they go out.
For more information on the Medicine Lodge Indian Peace Treaty Pageant and celebration, call 316-886-9815 or write to P.O. Box 128, Medicine Lodge, Kansas 67104.